Welcome everybody to today's webinar, Digital Marketing Education Rewind, what we learned in 2022 and where digital marketing education is going in 2023, which we're already in it and a lot has changed. I'm excited to be joined here with Nick Shreck at Midland University. We'll let him introduce himself here in a little bit. But we're going to be looking back at some major trends that happened in 2022 that a lot of you probably are aware of that happened, but just kind of how they can be incorporated and what we can learn from those. And then looking ahead, some really new and exciting pieces of technology and how you can integrate that into your classroom as you think about digital marketing, which we talk a lot about digital media, but we think digital marketing is a part of that. And we think the best way to use digital marketing is to market your school and promote your school through education and in a class. So, Nick, I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. My name is Nick Shreck. I teach digital marketing at Midland University and love partnering with Strive whenever possible. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And my name is Taylor Siebert and started Strive 11 years ago and been on this journey. And we relaunched Strive Education last year and have a full curriculum available for teachers and educators to integrate digital media education into their school, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Danielle, who's on our team, is behind the scenes, and I'm gonna just realized the glare on my glasses. She's behind the scenes and is going to be tweeting and answering any questions that come in. So please, even if you're watching this on demand, you can leave some comments or questions if you have them for either of us, and we'll get you connected with Nick if you have any questions for him as well at the higher ed level and what he's doing as far as teaching digital marketing to college students and his experience as well, which is super valuable, and we're thankful he can join us today. So a little bit about Strive. So who we are, we work with over 100 schools. We've been doing this for over 10 years. We've have millions of people that jump onto our platform over the course of a year to watch high school events and consume digital media content. And we're now in this next phase and journey of our company where we're really turning towards the education and training and resources that we've accumulated over the last decade and trying to get that put into schools and equip teachers and educators with the right tools that they need to train students so that they can go to Nick and be better equipped to be digital marketers and digital media content creators. And so we're trying to do that at a world-class level at the high school space and provide that community for educators, which we're really passionate about. So that's who we are. So we're going to be diving in here. What some key trends that happened over this last year in 2022 in digital marketing education. And I feel like we skipped a slide, but that's okay. Here's 4 things that kind of happened over this last year that you need to be aware of. And Nick, please chime in here as we kind of dive into these. And I don't think they'll surprise, maybe one of them will surprise you here. But one of them is just the data-driven world that we live in and the emphasis that data and analytics have and metrics. And we use them at our company. We actually have a scorecard that we look at each week, and we adjust that scorecard every quarter. And I think it's really important for educators to implement that same idea, right? They have grades to reflect and analyze. But I think with digital media, a lot of schools and educators struggle with that and using data. But I think it's really important. And obviously, social media continues to play an important role in digital marketing that hasn't gone away. And Nick, I'll have you go ahead and chime in on either of these and what you're seeing in the higher ed and working with high school teachers too.
Yeah. I mean, so with data-driven marketing, teachers will go through a process called assessment, right? And in an assessment, you're trying to figure out where your students are at in the process. Are they exceeding expectations? Are they below expectations? And marketing is the data part of marketing is the same kind of thing. You know, if you have a website that's not getting a lot of traffic, then it causes you to think, okay, why isn't my website getting a lot of traffic? Are people not searching for it? Are they not seeing our ads? Do they not know we exist? And then so by using the data, it allows you to make better decisions about what's going on. That doesn't completely eliminate like the gut check or the gut feel, but the data can help that gut check make those decisions. And then social media is always evolving, right? We see the rise of video content. We see the rise of kind of that alt text within social media, and allowing social media to be accessible to all. And so how that's evolving has been really interesting. In 2022, we saw a lot of emphasis on accessibility in social media, which has been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then the next two, obviously, the growth of video content. We continue to see that with YouTube and TikTok video content just being a crucial part of digital marketing, just because that's where the attention is at, and that's where people are consuming content. Us, even our own team, we kind of relaunched and revamped a new, podcast and show that we have on YouTube, and just to learn so that we can then educate teachers on that. So we learned a ton in 2022, and now are taking that and applying that by using video in a different way than we ever have, right? Beyond streaming, right? Actually producing a show and a podcast takes a lot of work. And I think we'll talk about that in a little bit later for teachers, but that's ways you can be educating your students, is to have them be creating that, not just the highlight reels and the short little clips, but how to actually put a show together and promote your school. And then obviously, I think the fourth one being what we learned in 2022, and we kind of just got a taste of it, and now we're really seeing it explode here, is the use of AI and machine learning, and how it's just become more widespread in digital marketing. It's more accessible, right, to use with Chat GPT, and we're actually going to demo Jasper, which we use here on our team. And it's a pretty exciting time in the digital marketing space, I would say, Nick, to be able to use these tools. But I think we need to understand how to use them and how to apply them in a high school, middle school setting.
Right. I mean, AI is transformational. It is the Google of this decade, or this era. In the same way that Google helped us reshape how we think about how learning can work, AI is that in that same kind of vein, except it's more advanced. And so we're going to see a lot of people adapt to that. And the ones that embrace it early are the ones that are going to come out ahead and understand how this will help people down the road.
Yeah. And I forgot we do have one more here, is personalization and customer experience. I think that's really important for teachers, and we learn that there's lots of different ways, and we'll talk about chatbots and using AI to help respond to make a customer experience more valuable and more important by using some of these tools. But we're constantly looking at, for us in our business, how many service tickets and support issues have come up, right? How do we make that customer experience better, right, by using different tools? And I think it's important for educators to understand that and connect that. And we're happy to show you those ways that we try to make things personalized and make a better customer experience. But I don't think we can forget about that piece for digital marketing and digital media education. How can we personalize this experience for our fans, whether it be a live stream that we're putting on, right? How can we make this a good customer experience, thinking about your audience as your customer? And anything to add to that, Nick? I think that's really important, and we don't want to just breeze over this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've known about the importance of this for a while. It just wasn't accessible to do. It was really difficult to personalize to every single person, and maybe deliver a customized experience to every single person. And so with the tools that are up on the screen, the analytics, some of the AI stuff, some of the chatbots, like that's what's helping this become a better experience for lots of folks.
You bet. So moving ahead, we're going to look at, how do you stay up to date with all of this, staying ahead of the curve? And so we kind of highlighted 3 different ways that that's happening. And obviously with COVID, there was a shift and a focus from the focus of the classroom to online. And so digital media classes didn't change a lot. They just weren't able to meet in person. And so they're still now having to use these virtual learning environments, and teachers are encouraging students, to focus on these and bite-sized content, right? And not having a 45-minute lecture. That's really not what digital marketing and media classes look like. And so they were already ahead of the curve on that, but continuing to lean into that and staying ahead of that and engaging and empowering students is really important. And developing those digital skills, right, really accelerated last year because of all the new technology and things we're going to be talking about, has placed a greater emphasis on the importance of these digital skills. And one of those is creating digital media content, right? Video, audio, writing, and design, creating graphics and things like that. Those are becoming very valuable skills in the marketplace that schools need to continue to lean into. And so we need to continue to develop those skills. I think we saw the importance of it last year, and we're going to continue now with some added tools like AI to continue to lean into that. And then just a shift in consumer behavior, right? I think understanding that from an education standpoint of what does it look like? How are people buying things? How are people consuming content, right? Yes, we have fans that come to our events in person to watch sports, but they're also watching them online. How do we engage them through digital media? How do we get them connected to our community? And Nick, I think that's an important piece as well. And I continue to say that we learn that, and we're going to have to continue to lean into that this year, which is, we're already in it. We're already in February here, but just a more emphasis on that of thinking about the consumer, which is for a school, the best way to do that is think about your community.
Yeah, I mean, and think about like what your community is supporting, how your community is engaging, and um, 5 years ago, streaming wasn't nearly what it is today, and so like it's been really neat to see Strive such like ahead of the curve on these things. And now people are like, oh, it's streamed. Oh, I got this. I know how to access this. I'm not intimidated by it. It's been really wonderful to see, especially that shift in consumer behavior.
You bet. And I think there's lots of examples of, how people buy things, right, through Amazon or things like that. Those are all pieces of digital media that need to be taught. And I think that can be overwhelming for educators as well. As where do we even start with e-commerce, right? Well, I think you can start small. Go to learn things from Shopify, right, which is one of the largest e-commerce websites out there to allow people to set up online stores and things like that. Maybe that's a project that you have, is for your students to set up a free Shopify store to sell something for the school, right? Maybe it's some swag or some apparel or something like that. You want to start a store. That's digital media. You're creating digital media content for people to purchase things. It's a physical good you're selling, but you're using digital media. You're creating a website, probably going to have to use social media. You're probably going to have to create a video. So those are all different examples. And then you get to see how you have to personalize that experience for your customers, right? So all of these things really connect, that we have to just continue to understand in the classroom, because your students are in this every day, right? But teaching them about these things that they're using every day is different. And so that's what we want to lean into. And so there's some challenges that have come along the way, and we're going to highlight two of them. One is just getting kids more hands-on experience. There's just a lack of that right now, right? And going to my notes here, there's just not enough opportunities. And so that's why we believe at Strive and Strive Education is to enhance that. Most digital media education it's all hands-on, right? You've got to go create something, you've got to go do something, and then you come back and learn. You look at the analytics and you get feedback from your customers, or no one watched this video. Why is that? Right? And we've got to continue to give those hands-on experiences. It's not a test that they're taking. And I think that's one of the challenges for a lot of the educators we work with, is they're coming from those types of classrooms, and this is not that type of classroom. Nick, how do you give your kids more hands-on experience in your classes?
Yeah, in our marketing, or in our digital marketing classes at Midland, we typically partner them with businesses that have real problems. These businesses want more traffic coming through their door. They want more people going to their website. They want more followers on social media, and our students will go out, meet that business, oftentimes in person, and then they'll like work through the problem and then present that business owner or that manager with the solution about how they can solve it.
Cool.
Students have said time and time again that is such a valuable thing for them. Meeting, like doing it, meeting the professionals, working to solve real problems. That has been the kind of hands-on thing that sometimes classes kind of get automated 100%, and they don't have that hands-on element that they need.
Yeah. I think for a high school, we encourage that all the time. Go work with businesses, right? Or use your school as that business, right? Your school is that opportunity to promote your school, market your school to you, and use digital media with that. There's a couple that we didn't highlight via slides, but I just want to bring them up. It's just the rapid change, keeping up with the rapid change of digital marketing. And we'll talk about how, we are helping educators with that. And then the difficulty in teaching some of these technical skills, right? I've talked to a ton of, and if you join Strive Education, we started these creator conversations with content creators, and every one of them goes, I've got a YouTube playlist of how to learn technical skills, right? And I think as educators, you need to embrace that YouTube is a place, some call it YouTube University, right? That they're learning from. But that's just one piece of the pie, right? That the hands-on experience is where it really amplifies, right? You can watch as many tutorial videos as you want, but getting a project from a business like you described really amplifies their learning. So, and then the next one here, let me switch my slides here, is just the emphasis on the soft skills development. So we talk about the 4 C's of 21st century learning a lot. Learning how to communicate properly, especially if you're working with a business like Nick used, you're going to have to communicate with that business in a professional manner. Collaboration, you're going to have to be able to work together. Critical thinking, you're going to have to be able to problem solve and think critically about the problem that the business has with why their product is not reaching more people. And then think creatively, right? What's some different ways we can think about this problem and be creative and think outside the box a little bit. Nick, what do you see? How do you see these soft skills being used in some of your classes? How do you teach these things? Is it through the hands-on experience?
We absolutely teach them through the hands-on experiences. Students have said that time and time again. I specialize in this particular research area on soft skill development through experiential learning. And so PayScale did a study in 2018, and they said that 60% of managers feel like new graduates don't have the critical thinking skills that they need to be competitive in the workplace. 54% of managers felt like new graduates didn't have the communication skills that they needed. And so we see that as the top request. Hard skills are significantly lower on the list, according to that PayScale report. And so, when we teach in our classes, this is a big focus area for us, because if students can't communicate, they can't solve problems, they can't work with others, that's not a very employable graduate. And so we make sure that our classes are structured to make sure that these skills are really being developed through projects.
Very cool. Yeah, that's some good data. I think Danielle captured those percentages. Right, Danielle? Did you grab those? That's really good. We'll need to share those out to our educators and those that didn't get to catch this, which is why you need to sign up to watch this. So still looking at 2022, the impact just of the things that happened in 2022 in the industry and in education, and continuing to stay ahead of that curve. We feel like continual professional development, and I know these slides are kind of hard to read, so I apologize, but just making a consistent effort. I see that time and time again where, if you're a science teacher or a math teacher, English, you're constantly learning, and digital media is no different than that. And so we view ourselves as a Strive and Strive Education as a professional development community for you. And so please lean into that. Continue to ask questions. Don't feel like just because you're not very knowledgeable on the topic that you can't ask questions. Everybody is learning at the same pace you are. You know, you've just got to dive in and learn some of these new things and not be scared of the next one, incorporating some new tech and new tools into the classroom, and being okay with maybe your students knowing how to use some of these things and you not knowing how to use some of these things, and just trying things. That's what we're doing today. This whole webinar process that we built for this today is new. And there's a handful of people on here. We wanted to be there to be more, and we're going to go back to the drawing board and see if there's some different ways that we can continue to get better at this. We incorporate some new tech and new tools, which is I love doing, but not everyone does love to do that. The next one, independent student learning. I've seen this a lot, Dick, where a school doesn't have a digital marketing class or anything like that, and they can take an independent study for this. And so continuing to offer those opportunities for students, even if you don't have a class, but you have a student who's interested in this, maybe give them the project of, hey, you're the athletic director, or go to your AD, and you're the business teacher, but you don't have a digital marketing class. Go to the AD and say, hey, what are some problems you have in the athletic department as far as getting people to events and games? And he'll give you some numbers and say, hey, yeah, we're down on attendance, and we don't know why, but we want to promote and try to get more people. We want to see a growth in attendance next year by 10%, right? Well, give that student that opportunity to see if they can, with the skills that they have in an independent study learning environment, see if they can raise that up to 10% with some different ideas. And you need to embrace that as educators with students and give them collaborative learning opportunities, right? Maybe that one student then goes to the student section group and says, hey, I need some help with trying to get more students to your events, and we want to use your guys' TikTok account or Instagram account to promote that. I just saw last night an AD tweeted at their student section, and he actually has a sponsor that's going to buy pizza and tickets for students to come to their sub-district games. It's a Class A school, which I know a lot of Class A schools struggle with because kids work and have jobs, and there's just a lot of different activities they're involved in, as opposed to a smaller school. You get less students, but you're going to get more buy-in there. You've got to think creatively in that and give them those collaborative opportunities, and then continuing to provide those soft skill development opportunities, I think, is really, really important. And we just need to continue to lean into that as we move forward here. So let's go ahead and transition. And if you guys have any questions, we're moving right along. There's a ton of content, so we move through that at a pretty good pace, but we've got some more exciting things as we look to 2023 that we want to dive in and actually demo and talk about and give you some examples that you can use and take back in your classroom. So that was kind of reflecting back, which maybe was repetitive for some of you, but I think it's important to look back, and now we can shift to 2023. But if you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and we can actually pull those up at the end and answer those if you have any questions for Nick or I, or just a comment in general. We'd love to hear that. So we're going to take a look at some different emerging technologies and the impact that they're going to have on digital marketing here. And the first one is obviously, we already talked about this, that happened last year, but it's going to continue to be amplified. And there are going to be continually new tools and apps and things like that come out, or that people discover using AI and machine learning. And it's going to transform the way that digital media is created. And I'm going to show you guys Jasper here in just a second, because Jasper's tagline actually is to be your AI creative assistant. Their whole business is built for digital marketing and to help people create more content in a more efficient way using artificial intelligence. And so we actually signed up with this, was it last fall, maybe, Jasper? So we've had it for maybe close to 6 months, maybe 4 or 5 months. And it's a paid service, but I think it's important for teachers to see this. So I'm actually going to pull up, one second. Here we go. pull up Jasper here. Beauties of doing this live. Okay, so this is our Jasper account, and there's a ton of different templates that you can use here, all from ads, blogs, e-commerce, email, but they have a social media tab here. And so I'm going to show you guys what it looks like to put together a photo caption for Instagram. So you would put in copy, and I've already put in copy. This is an example for our basketball game here at Heartland, and I coach the boys basketball team. So it's like, well, I'll type something in. What is your post about? You get up to 800 characters. You get to choose the tone of voice, which makes it it's original content, right? So it's taking in that so that it's not plagiarizing or anything like that by putting in these little key tones of voice, right? Try different combinations. It says like witty, friendly, disappointed, polite, creative, or you can even put in something like Oprah Winfrey. Like, I want this to sound like something Oprah would say, which is just fascinating that they can do this. And then what language? It can be even different languages. And then you can select how many inputs. So how many pieces of content you want to create from this, right? So I'll put 2 here just so you can see a comparison. And their business model is based on how many words it generates for you. All right, so here are the 2 examples that they just spit out, and that was maybe 10 seconds based on the parameters that I gave it. And so this isn't taking into account an image that I have or anything like that, but Tuesday night is game night, all caps, don't miss the first round. And it took all of that kind of copy that I did. Get your tickets now for a night you won't forget. Hashtag Go Huskies. And then this one, get ready for some high-flying basketball action, catch the game, time, and witness firsthand which team will reign supreme. So it took that fun and exciting tone, you can tell, and generated that. And it's funny, I did not put in any hashtags, but that is actually Heartland's hashtag that they use, which is Heartland Huskies, which is, kind of makes sense. It just took Heartland Huskies there and created some hashtags for Instagram that you could use. So that's just a really cool example for teachers just to understand how much time that can save. I'm not telling you as a teacher and educator to use to buy Jasper for your digital marketing class, but they do have a free version. And so that you can at least go test it, right? Go experience that. Have your students. This could be a project is, hey, we've got a photo and I need everybody to, or choose a photo and say what it's about, the tone of voice, and then I need you to come back with what Jasper did. And then the best part about this is you don't have to use this word for word. This just generated a sandbox, if you will, for you. And so, Nick, I'd love to hear your thoughts seeing this, how you would maybe a project idea for teachers to use this in their classroom, in their digital marketing class.
Yeah, I mean, what you did there with the Heartland Huskies subdistrict, good luck, by the way, is really neat. But we'll also see this with maybe businesses in the community that need a little promotion from like students, and so sometimes the hardest part of that is a brainstorm. And the beautiful part about Jasper is it basically got out that brainstorm right away, and then you can edit it.
Yes.
As you need it. And so, it'd be fun to see like how students prompted in different ways, how the different voice changes. Brand voice is a pretty big deal. So like, when I tweet out from our Midland School of Business account, I don't get to do some of the fun things that like Wendy's gets to do when they roast people on social media. So the brand voice is a pretty big deal, and what a great opportunity for students to kind of see how a fun voice might vary from a serious tone, but get the same message across.
Yeah, that's really cool. The other logo here is ChatGPT, and we'll save that. I'll pull that up. In fact, a lot of the content you're seeing here, I use ChatGPT to develop. So instead of me having to go Google, what are the trends and things like that, I prompted ChatGPT and asked certain specific questions about digital marketing to help create some of the content for this, right? And then we took it and reorganized it, reworded it, built the slides. So again, it helped save a ton of time in creating this webinar as opposed to us trying to go through and develop it. And it put the outline together for us, to be completely transparent. And again, it didn't create the slides, it didn't present the webinar, but it created a lot of the content, get us started with, oh yeah, here's some different key trends we can talk about. And so it was really exciting to use that for this. The other one is virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR, and how they're changing consumer behavior. And I think in talking to some of the digital media classes and educators, this is something they haven't really touched or dived into because they're not familiar with it, right? But it's something that I think students are going to start to want to learn about, is how do I create this digital media content for Oculus, right? Or the little picture here is using some AR, right? Like in a shipping department, how could I take a picture of this and it's going to grab all the barcodes, right? That's a use of AR. And I'll show you an example of that here in just a little bit. I think we do a deep dive into AR. So I'm going to wait for the NBA app, Nick, to talk about that here in just a little bit. And thank you, Josh. We'll pull up your question here. AR for senior night programs has always been something he's wanted to do. So yeah, there's just some really cool opportunities with VR and AR that people could use their phones. And a lot of these apps now have the ability to, I think of Pokemon, right, being was one of the first AR apps, I think, or maybe I'm thinking of a different app or different application where, you would go and search for all these different things around. Am I right, Nick?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Pokemon Go. Yep. And like that was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were way ahead of the curve, and you would have these things digitally pop up on your phone using the real world. And now it's like Instagram with the face things you can do, and all these different, I've got an app called Face Dance, where you takes a picture of yourself and it moves your mouth, right? We've seen all these different fun things, but to get students thinking about how they could be creating and using some of those applications for their school, I think is really neat. Moving along here, chatbots and conversational AI. Nick, do you want to share a little bit about this and how you're kind of maybe teaching this to students or making them aware of this for your students?
Yeah, in our social media class, we had students program their own chatbot. And
cool.
I think students found that it was more challenging to create a chatbot than they thought, but that they're glad that they did it, because I think the student takeaway was students always thought that people asked the question the same way, and when you write a chatbot, you are basically using keywords, and then the keywords are being like responded to or addressed. And so, if you want it to write a response to what's for lunch today, it requires a different like response or a similar response to, hey, what's in the dining hall right now. And so students are like, wait a minute, who would ask a question like that? And so they learned about all the different ways that students would ask a question that really get at the same answer, but they had to kind of think about how other people go through that process, which ties right back to one of your 2022 trends in what is consumer behavior doing? How is that changing? And so this was a really great exercise for them to go through and understand how other people think about solving their problems.
What did you use for that, if you don't mind? How did you have them create that chatbot?
What did we do? There are a few that you can write.
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, that's all fine. What did they use? I don't remember the tool, but there's a few of them where you can write your own chatbot, and I'll put it in the comments here in a second, and have students or have people be able to kind of look it up and see what's best for them.
Yeah. And we're going to do a blog recap on Strive Education that we can add that link to that as well. We adopted a chatbot as well through HubSpot, which is what we use for our CRM. And I know, Nick, you are a HubSpot. You get students HubSpot certified, if I'm not mistaken. at the college level, just because it's a phenomenal sales, CRM, customer service tool. And so we use that in our dashboard for Strive TV schools. They can ask a question, that it's using our knowledge base as the library to pull from. And so we didn't create it. We're just using someone else's tool. So I think that's kind of fun. I have seen some schools add this to their school website. So I've seen some school PR folks that have added this ability on their website for parents to ask a question like, what's the lunch menu today? And it will point them in the right direction. So I think that's a really neat idea that you could see if your website provider, or you could build something like this for parents, because I think websites are so hard to find things. I think that's the number one thing I hear from parents is, I just can't find what I'm looking for. Well, a chatbot would be something that could help you speed up that process, where you go to the website and just type it in. Or maybe it's a standalone app, right, that a student creates in your class, and it's, points them in the direction. It searches the website and finds the information that you're looking for really easily. So again, that's that interaction with customers, customer service. It's digital media, right? It's still a part of that. This is probably the most odd piece of content we're going to talk about, but it's digital media. It's digital, except for it's deals with currency. So everyone probably knows what Bitcoin is, but that is built on top of a digital media kind of platform, right? And so blockchain is, and I'll just kind of read that, as a secure digital ledger that records transactions across the internet, right? Computers, and kind of has disrupted the way money can transfer through a digital format. So I think it's interesting that this popped up as something that's emerging in 2023 as far as digital marketing, because it's changing the way people are paying for your products. And so you need to be able to probably adopt some of these new ways. Now, the whole, digital currency state is in flux right now, I would say. I wouldn't say it's crashed, Nick, but we both, I think, talked about, we bought some Ethereum over a year ago, and it's worth less than half of what I bought it for. So not a great investment. This is not investing advice for you, but it's just letting as educators, it's something that students are going to start to want to know about, and a way, how could we integrate this, right? Maybe your school sells some swag, and you offer to sell it through Dogecoin or Bitcoin or something like that, just as a fun project, or you can make something up. Nick, I don't know if you used any of this type of these ideas in your classes to explain to students.
Yeah, well, it's more like we explain it as like digital proof. So, for instance, the Mona Lisa, if you were to buy the original Mona Lisa, it's worth millions of dollars. Some would say that it's priceless. But you can buy a copy of the Mona Lisa. You can buy a digital print and print it out, and you can get that for 99 cents, if not less, right? What blockchain allows you to do is to verify that, like, you have proof of that. So it's not necessarily with the currency. It can be with the currency, but there's also blockchain value in understanding, like, hey, I created this cool digital art.
Yeah.
And it is electronic digital art, and I want to sell it. But how do I know that someone just isn't going to take a screenshot of that and then sell it on their own? Blockchain allows you to do certain things where you say, hey, this was the first time it was ever here. I have proof that I created this. And that's a lot of the value that people currently see with it is, how do we know who owns something? How do we know the transaction history? How do we have proof that someone bought this and they are the legal owners of that? So there's some really cool things there.
Right. And we could probably go into NFTs, which is what you just referenced there, which is, digital art or things like that. And attached with that NFT is a contract that could lead to other things. I think of Gary Vee. He started VeeFriends and selling, NFTs using Ethereum. You had to buy it with Ethereum. When you bought that VeeFriend from him, which was a digital, basically a drawing that he originally made and then digitized it, it came with going to his conference and a bunch of other things in that contract. One example that Danielle gave us was some artwork made by Beeple called Every Day. Every day is the first 5,000 days. And I think it was just pictures of him, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the background.
Oh, that's the background. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's the background image. So he took all these images from 5,000 days and it ended up selling in 2021 for like $69 million, this piece of digital art, as an NFT, because people saw value in that. It just kind of blew up right in 2021. Now, I don't know what the value of it is now. I'm assuming it's probably not 69 million, but I could be wrong. And so that's how it can kind of connect to your classroom. And I'm really interested to continue to see where NFTs go and how the students in your class that are really good at design and graphic design, how we can teach those students those skills now and learning that. Because most likely the ones that are really good at design in your class are going to probably work for a company to be creating NFTs for them, is my prediction. And so we need to at least start to have those conversations with students for the design ones. But videos, the NBA sells video highlights, right, from their games through their own network, very similar to blockchain. And so there's lots of examples there, but something that maybe you wouldn't think about. So predictions for 2023, I'm not going on record here, but these are just, I think some pretty obvious things as they've already started happening in 2023 here, and how are we going to keep up with the pace in education? So the increased use of AI, right? There's already been schools banning ChatGPT in schools because of worry of plagiarism and cheating on tests and things like that. Not like Google didn't exist before. This is just basically the same thing in a different format. The growth of influencer marketing and the expansion of multimedia content, right? Kind of what we just talked about with NFTs and things like that. So I want to take a moment here before we get into the next kind of section, and then we'll wrap up, is ChatGPT. If you're not familiar with it, just wanted to show you what it looks like, right? So it's very basic. You can see all of history of my searches. I'm not using the paid version yet, but I can go in here and say, what are the trends in digital marketing that I need to know to teach high school students? Right. So I type in that command and it will then spit out ways, trends, that I need to know in order to teach, high school students to be better digital marketers, right? And these are things we've already talked about, right? Personalization, influencer marketing, video marketing, and it's going to give me a list of different things. Voice search, that's an interesting one that we didn't talk about too. I think that kind of with the whole Alexa and Siri, that was the first introduction to kind of AI, right? And so it'll spit all this out. This could be a lesson that you do for the day, right? And so these are the types of things that as it continues to go. These are just a few, it says, after it spit out 7 different examples, current trends in digital marketing that high school students should be aware of, right? So this is the exciting part. And then it names it up here. You have a history of it. And you can continue to ask it different commands, right? That's really, really, really amazing. But again, this isn't finalized content. This just is basically your brainstorming partner, is how I view it. And we've really had a lot of fun with this if the servers are working, right? I'm not paying for ChatGPT. Jasper, we are paying for. I can rely on that. So just understanding that. But your students, if your school is allowing this, I think teachers need to be showing this in classrooms, right, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, at Midland, we are definitely, in my classroom, I'm definitely encouraging students to use this.
Cool.
And there's all sorts of like ways to use this. So for instance, when students turn in an assignment for my class and they use ChatGPT, I want them to give me the prompt that they gave ChatGPT,
Nice,
and I want
nice.
them to show me like how they fact checked it. ChatGPT is not accurate 100% of the time, and
Right.
so I want to know like what else they did to it. That's a ChatGPT as a starting point. It isn't always the ending point, and so how did you prompt it, and then what did you do to build on ChatGPT? How do you know that it's factually correct? And
Yeah.
so there's all sorts of like other things that you can do to enhance ChatGPT or to get around it, or it just depends on like what you want your students to do from that activity. It's
Yeah.
been really neat so
Yeah.
far.
Awesome. And I think the next one we'll go into here as we continue moving along, the growth of influencer marketing. One of the fun examples of that, and you can find that. I mean, you now probably follow an influencer, right? I know my wife does, of people that are passionate about a certain topic, and they find brands that attach to that topic, right? That see the same values that you see and what you're trying to do in your life, and they want you to then promote their product through whether it's Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. We're seeing that continue to grow. And we're going to start to see students go, I want to be an influencer, right? We've seen that for the last couple of years is I want to be like that person. Well, I think what they don't understand is how much work and pressure that is. Not everyone is built to be an influencer and take some of the heat that influencers do take, but it's really exciting to be able to do that now, right? We've always seen product placement. I think of American Idol when they had the Coca-Cola or maybe Pepsi cups, right? Product placement. But now we're able to, because of social media, be able to just get way more exposure, and people can really niche down, is what I like to call it, on a certain topic, right? If they're passionate about, being a stay-at-home mom, right? And all the things that are so awesome about being a stay-at-home mom. Well, there's different brands that you have 1 million followers that want access to stay-at-home moms, right? To promote their products. And so we've always seen that, but now it's just, there's more people that are being allowed to benefit from that. Nick, are you guys talking about influencer marketing, how students learn that, or more from a brand perspective, how to find influencers? What does that
Yeah,
look
I
like for you
mean,
guys?
we absolutely have to talk about it. From the students want to know how they can partner with brands.
Okay.
Everyone wants to be TikTok famous. And so
Yep.
we talk about finding brands that align with your values and starting small, finding companies in this area that their audience would want to shop from. But then we also talk about being trustworthy. If people are following you and they seek your advice because they trust you,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily have to have this giant audience to be an influencer. We have one student here. She is a leader in shotgun sports, and so her like mass appeal is not millions of people, but it's the right group of thousands of
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
And that's kind of what it's about. I want to learn from people that I trust, and people tend to trust other people more than they trust other companies.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
there's a great like way to think about how our students can learn to be influencers just from being trustworthy and understanding who follows them.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. And then the last one, I think we're just going to continue to see the expansion of video, right, and multimedia, and we need to continue to lean into that in this 2023, and giving students more opportunities to create unique, different multimedia types of content, right? Starting a podcast, starting a show on YouTube, right, to talk about different things, have them test and try different things. Is really important. And I think teachers who can stay up to date and incorporate these changes into their lessons, right, staying up to date, are going to be really well positioned to provide a really cutting edge educational experience for their students in digital media marketing, and prepare them for years to come, right? Knowing that it's always changing. This isn't a class that you've got the curriculum and it's going to stay the same every year. It's going to continue to evolve, which is really exciting what we're excited about coming up. So one of those things is the use of VR, right, and AR in your class. And so we just wanted to highlight that. It provides a hands-on experience, right, using those types of things, whether it's a virtual tour that you could use. So get your hands on, I know Google makes the Google Cardboard, I think Nick and I were talking about. It can enhance engagement in that. But then on the backside is, how do we create content for VR and AR? I think is kind of where we're coming from as well. Not just the use of it, but how do we create content for it? And so we're kind of keeping our eye out on those types of applications for you. It can help improve understanding of different things by, I'm a visual learner, by experiencing it visually, and then preparing for future careers around this. I did some research, and there's lots of different opportunities to learn how to be a VR, AR developer, right? To be developing these pieces of technology for like the NBA, which we'll talk about here in transition and show you. I'll just kind of play this in the background. I don't know if the audio. So the NBA just had their All-Star weekend, and Nick tweeted out this from Front Office Sports, I think it was, Nick, this demo that Adam Silver did with Ahmad Rashad, who I watched, every Saturday morning on NBC talk about the NBA, and he took a little photo of Ahmad, and now he's showing him in their app what he'll be able to do. He now can insert himself as a player, which is the player that's highlighted red there, and be in this highlight. So now imagine a kid growing up wanting to be in the NBA, which not every kid gets that opportunity, right? Boy or girl, right? WNBA, NBA. They can go and take a picture of themselves, and he rotated around them, and then put himself into this and chose, I want to be Horton Tucker in this replay. And so he just put him in, and here's Ahmad Rashad, looks like an NBA 2K player, and just went for a dunk, and they've got all the different angles, the fans, the players, and he went up for the dunk, slammed it, and then the best clip of this is that one. That's pretty cool. I think he got fouled. Pretty sure he got fouled. Yep. Is going up to his teammate here, how real that looks. Is they high five and chest bump. Like, that's just the best. And he's just getting a kick out of it. So, Nick, when you saw this, remind us of what your comment was on that.
I think it's the only way that I'll be able to dunk ever on a regulation size hoop, because I need to rely on that to get the extra vertical. So,
but yeah, how cool is that now? And that is AR in my opinion, the augmented reality, right? And they're doing a ton of stuff in VR too, where you can put on the goggles and view different angles from a game. Like the NBA is probably the most tech savvy league, in my opinion. They're really setting the stage, and they're very progressive and thinking outside the box and thinking about different ways to engage their fans, which are young folks, right? And so they know that these kids are, yearning for this type of technology because they're using it already in different areas like Minecraft, right? And Fortnite, and different things already digitally. Now they're amplifying that. So we've got to start to talk about those things in classes, and how it can relate. How could we use this? Could we do I think of the easiest example would be to do a virtual tour of your school, right? Video your whole school walking with a gimbal, to make sure it's stabilized. Get a wide lens. You could use your phone and do a virtual tour for prospective students, right? To market your school, or people moving in, over the summer, and they could go to your school website and they could go look at your school, because we all know everyone's, looking at websites or social media before they actually physically come. And I think that would be the easiest project, in my opinion, Nick, is to do some type of virtual tour. And it doesn't have to be built for, Oculus or anything like that. Put it up on YouTube or any other video hosting platform, and at least have something available in it, to give them a taste and idea of what that could look like. Could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. My wife and I were we're trying to, we moved about, I don't know, a year ago. And so we're trying to decorate. And so we had a mirror that she really liked. And she's like, gosh, I don't know how this is going to look in the house. And we were on the Target site, and it says, see what it looks like in your room. And there's a button. And so
Oh
we
my.
got to like see it on the wall with correct dimensions and everything. And we're like, ooh, we're not sure this is going to work.
Wow.
And so augmented reality played a huge role in saving us some money that day. We're very appreciative.
Yeah, thanks, Target. You probably spent it
Yeah,
in a different way.
probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a school reach out recently, looking. They wanted some VR. They're getting new laptops and get some VR stuff. Was it Class VR? Is that what this was? Not sure exactly what the technology was, but they reached out to us because they were going to use it for their welding class. So instead of actually welding, they were going to be using VR to teach students some of the skills for welding. And so I thought that was really interesting. Something you probably wouldn't think about in the class. Why would you just teach kids how to weld? Well, maybe they don't have the equipment or the teacher to do that, so they're going to use VR for that, especially small schools. So I thought that was really interesting to share. And then kind of as we wrap up here, opportunities for growth in digital marketing education, go get courses and take courses and get certified, right? HubSpot has, I think, some free certifications for this. Digitalmarketer.com, that's more for business professionals, but I don't think it would be a bad thing for you to do. Danielle and our team has gotten certified through digitalmarketer.com, which we love them, going to conferences and workshops, being part of a professional organization, and then attending things like this, right? Hopefully you got one little nugget that you can take back to your class. And we're going to continue to talk about this through the summer as you prepare for this next school year. But we view ourselves as one of those professional organizations joining Strive Education. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So if you have any questions, I know some people are going to be jumping off here to get to class. So we thank you so much for being on. But if you have questions or you've done things in your class that have really engaged students using some of these new emerging technologies, or you have a success story, please let us know. And even reach out to us if you're watching the on-demand content here as well. Reach out to Nick. We can get you connected with him because he's really trying to teach the future marketers, digital marketers, that at the higher ed level, which is why we love partnering with Midland on that. And so we offer, Strive Education offers a solution for you as far as if you need curriculum, you're looking for that community, and you're looking for courses and resources and training. We have that at a really great price. And so if you're interested in learning more about Strive Education, you can book a call, snap a pic of this QR code. We can reach out to Danielle on our team and do an introduction call and get connected and see what the curriculum looks like. You can go to strive.education right now, even, and download the unit guides from Rob and Shanda, who helped develop the curriculum. And we're going to be working with Nick on some digital marketing curriculum, hopefully over the summer, to be ready in the fall for you to kind of take some of these things and go next level in your class. Like, you're creating videos, you've got some podcast stuff. Well, how do you market that? How do you digitally market that? How do we look at SEO? How do we look at some email marketing? How do we get our website up to date on some of these things to promote the digital media content you're creating? And that's kind of the next evolution that we're looking at, which is why we wanted to do this webinar here today as well. So, and then the last thing is we're going to be hosting a summer cohort over about 3 to 4 weeks with teachers, all digitally on Zoom, talking about digital marketing. So going a lot deeper on the topics we just discussed. So if you're interested in joining that, being a part of that, it's free for everybody, whether you're in Strive Education or not, or Strive TV school. You can join that to learn a little bit more, go a little bit more deeper into digital marketing. And we'll probably have some clips from this and get some content from Nick on that summer cohort as well, and just have some tools in your tool belt for the 2023-24 school year that you can use in regards to digital marketing. So you can get connected with us. We're on Twitter and Instagram. Strive_education. We do a lot of tech and nerd stuff with Strive TV. And then myself, Nick, I apologize. I did not get your contact information, but your email is just your last name at midlandu.edu, right?
Yep, correct.
So Shreck at midlandu.edu. And you can get connected with Nick, and we'll put that in, link that in our show notes as well. We can put that in there. But we thank you for taking an hour with us. It flew by. We had a lot to talk about. Nick, any closing thoughts you'd like to share with everybody?
Digital marketing, continuing education is ongoing. So as long as you're working toward it, coming to things like this, you're doing all the right things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Nick, for your time too and expertise. Continue to educate future digital marketers, and thank you everybody for watching. Make it a great day.